welcome to our special called March 27th, 2024 meeting of the City of Tuscaloosa Planning and Zoning Commission. At this time, I'd like to introduce our staff. We have Ashley Kreitz, Executive Director, Urban Development, Zach Pons, Director of Planning, Caitlin Giles, Development Review Coordinator, and Jimbo Woodson, Deputy City Attorney. There are 9 members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, all of whom are appointed by the mayor for staggered terms, with the exception of the City Council representative, who is appointed by the City Council. I ask the commission members to introduce themselves, state their occupation, beginning with Ms. Prince.
Dina Prince, attorney.
Tim Harrison, general contractor.
Vince Dooley, UA designer.
Eddie Pugh, retired.
Bill Wright, a business owner. There are sign-up sheets outside for public comment. If you did not sign up, you will still be given an opportunity to speak during the public comment portion of the agenda. The commission will take up items in the order of the agenda. The commission will receive a presentation from staff regarding zoning text changes necessitated through testing, along with minor changes and updates to the proposed zoning map that they have identified between the creation and the present day. The commission will vote to accept or reject these changes for final recommendation to the City Council later this summer. This is not the final vote on these items. The final vote is expected in July of 2024. After the staff presentation, the floor will be open to public comment. Staff will assist in reviewing the comments submitted online. Others in attendance will be welcomed after online comments are reviewed. Online comments are separated into 2 categories: comments of support and comments of concern. Comments of support generally do not require commission action in terms of a vote. For comments of concern, the commission will decide whether to accept the proposed changes or leave as is. Individuals wishing to express support or opposition will be given 3 minutes to speak. Only the Planning and Zoning Commission can grant a specified time extension to an individual. Public comment will be received, the floor closed to public comment, and the commission will open discussion among themselves, reserving the opportunity to vote or reject any proposed changes for the final consideration at the review meetings. Again, that will take place this year. These proceedings are video recorded and broadcast live. All public comments should be made at the podium into the microphone. Please first state your name and address for the record. Jurisdiction. Regarding zoning text amendments, sections 11-52-76 of the Code of Alabama states, the legislative body of such municipality shall provide for the manner in which such regulations and restrictions and the boundaries of such districts shall be determined, established, and enforced from time to time, amended, supplemented, or changed, and may adopt such ordinance as may be necessary to carry into effect and make effective the provisions of this article. The Planning and Zoning Commission serves as a recommending body to the legislative body. While the zoning text amendments will be considered in pieces, they will not be enforced until the final zoning text is adopted and the zoning map changes implemented. In layman's terms, if there is a vote at any point to recommend changes, they will not be enforced on any property until the City Council adopts the zoning text and zoning map changes formally through many public hearings. At this time, I would ask, do any members of the commission have any conflicts of interest or possible conflicts for any topics on the agenda for discussion this evening? If so, please state for the record. Having heard none, with that we will begin.
Good evening, Commission. I missed you last month, but you were in fantastic hands with the staff that was here. As always with these meetings, we like to start with the expectations, and I know this meeting is going to be a little bit different because we had a carryover. So let's talk about those expectations very quickly. Steering committee members, if you're present and you provide public comment, please be sure to note your role in the process. Say that you are a steering committee member at the podium or on record if you are giving that public comment. For our Planning and Zoning Commission members, of course, you've been able to review the draft code articles, the proposed map amendments ahead of the meeting. You've been able to ask us questions ahead of the meeting as well. We'll just refrain from arguing with public commenters. Just listen, ask questions only if you don't understand, need clarification, and look for an expedited proceeding. For everyone, our meetings begin at 7 p.m. and begin at 5 and end at 7 p.m. And as we've seen, if a topic does not get finished, we will roll it into that next scheduled meeting. We'll utilize a 3-minute timer visible to all parties, and the Planning Commission will be the only ones to grant a specified time extension. Of note, when it comes to the public comment portion, remember that it's a one-time situation. You are coming to the podium once. So utilize that 3-minute timer well. And staff will be managing the flow of the meeting for efficiency's sake. So tonight, because we had carryover from the February 28th meeting, we will be finalizing the West Tuscaloosa portion of those comments. I know we had a few things that remained. We'll get those finalized tonight and then review the downtown portion. So just a quick zoning text discussion about the downtown perimeter height. Staff proposed edits to the map. There are 2 minor amendments that we found in this process, and then the public input comments as well. And what you'll see is many of those comments are very supportive and things that we've been able to handle ahead of time as well. So really quickly, again, the zoning map update process, how we got to where we are this evening. I think it is important to go over this in every meeting just because there may be somebody's first time because it's the area that they care about. And they haven't tuned into some others. So very briefly, framework was created with a lot of public participation. And you can see those numbers on your screen in front of you. Over 40 represented organizations, 325 folks came to Forum on the Future where we set that vision for the community, and then 450 at the open house in November of 2019 where we said, is this what you wanted for the community? And they said, yes, it is. And then after the meeting, as we ran through the rest of the comments and the map comments to create the framework plan that we have today. Our steering committee members, and we highlighted the the council districts and the organizations that were really represented in tonight's areas, and you see that on the screen. Remembering that when we created that future land use character map, it is not a mandate for development. We use it as a policy guide, and multiple zoning districts can be appropriate to implement part of our future land use character map. We have these categories, and the future land use character map extends outside of the city limits. I know there were a couple comments last meeting about some areas that were outside of the city limits and a little bit of confusion. I'm glad we were able to have those conversations and help clarify some things for folks. So you see, that was the West Tuscaloosa future land use character map, and that fair lawn right there in the center, that portion is outside of the city limits. In downtown, this is our future land use character map, and we'll get into that in a little bit more detail as we carry on. So the zoning map was created using the future land use character map, our existing zoning, our current land uses, and our own professional judgment and expertise as staff. I do continue to implore you to be kind to staff. We are but humans, we are but mortals. And the specific areas of that city will be posted on the framework website and distributed ahead of any meeting with plenty of time for folks to comment and ask questions. And I think everyone's been able to see, as you make comments, staff's getting in touch with you to ask for clarification. Let's make sure we understand what's going on ahead of time. And we are using these special called meetings and the regularly scheduled meetings to help finish out these conversations. Our new zoning districts are on the screen in front of you as well, and they are simplifying what we have today. They are making it better than what we have today. So with that, we will get into the unfinished business. I'll ask Mr. Pons and Ms. Giles to take over this portion. Let them have some more fun.
All right, so again, we're going over West Tuscaloosa, finalizing that process. This is the area that we're talking about. It consists of Council District 1 and 2. This is the future land use character map, the existing zoning today, and then the proposed zoning. So again, we'll go a little bit more in depth in that. Public comment process, so this is for everyone in here. 3-minute timer will be used and visible to all parties. Only the PZC members can grant a specific time extension. All comments requiring a decision by the commission will be voted on as they are presented. So we've looked at the map that we have in Western Tuscaloosa, and we've looked at specific comments, and so we've kind of clarified where those are and are going through almost like a strategic way of looking at these comments that you'll see here. So first one we're going to look at is 23rd Street and 30th Avenue. This is from Lois Taylor. And you'll see a lot of dots here, but again, a lot of those were from last month.
Well, and Commission, for transparency's sake, for everyone here, to explain what you're seeing on the right-hand side of your screen, a grayed out comment means that it was voted on or the commission said no further action was needed. You know, Mr. Dempsey's comment was in support. So the grayed out comments on the left or the right-hand side have been handled in the previous meeting, and we'll just be covering the ones that remain in white.
And again, bear with me, these are some long comments sometimes, and I'm going to read them all into record. So first, we've got a comment here. This is from Lois Taylor, and she commented too. So you can see there are two comments on one, and they're both the same comment. So Haley, which is one of our staff, thank you for speaking with me last night at West Tuscaloosa Zoning Map Review Meeting. We're introduced by Raven Howard regarding the new proposed zoning for my two adjacent properties located at 2209 Dinah Washington Avenue and 2930 23rd Street. Currently, both properties are zoned BN and would be changed to NC according to the new zoning map. However, the use of the two properties is more aligned with the GC zoning. Like with BN, GC would allow the properties to be used for a wide range of retail and service establishments and not be limited to just neighborhood serving uses. Taylor's Used Carpet and Furniture operated in Tuscaloosa for over 40 years, serving local residents. The business closed in 2019 and will be developed for future use. I thereby request that my two adjacent properties located at 2209 Dinah Washington Avenue and 2930 23rd Street be zoned GC. Haley, thank you for your assistance. I look forward to hear from you soon. And then her contact information. And so she is proposing, instead of NC, neighborhood commercial, general commercial, on these two pieces of property right in the middle of your screen there.
Where is Dinah Washington on the map? Dinah Washington Avenue, is that really 30th Avenue?
It
Yes,
is,
ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And what's it zoned right now? I guess it's the pink zone, right?
It's being proposed as neighborhood commercial.
And again, we had these discussions last month as well, how neighborhood commercial is more oriented towards closer to neighborhoods, you can walk to these businesses, as opposed to general commercial is more so geared towards areas that almost require cars to get to.
Which will require parking as well.
That's right.
And so a used carpet and furniture business would not fit into neighborhood commercial?
So not necessarily. The use specifically is, you know, and again, this is kind of, her business closed in 2019, and
Right.
we don't know if it's
I'm
going to
just-
open back up. But yeah, that type of use we might need to look at to see if we would allow it. It could be something where they could go back in, and we could look at that in relation to like a use variance or something like that, if that's what currently exists and NC doesn't allow that. I think we need to more so look at kind of where it is in relation to neighborhoods and
I'd say,
things
do we
like
have a
that.
street view of that?
We can get it pulled up for you. The property is zoned BN today, and I think some of the challenges with BN, as we've seen over the last 50 years, have been it wasn't used correctly within neighborhood-centric areas. BNS probably would have been far more appropriate for how close the homes are to each other in this part of the world.
It looks like it's mostly all residential around it, and then my question would be on the parking side of, you know, what does GC allow? One, what could be there, and then two, what is the parking requirements in GC? Is it
The
how much
parking
per square foot?
requirements would
Here
be
it is.
similar depending on the use.
Sorry?
The use would determine the parking requirements for the most part, at least in GC and NC zoning districts.
So it's these properties here. It's those two that are on 23rd, right?
Yes.
What access would it have off of Dinah Washington? Really none, is it?
Yes.
It's got-
Right there, yeah.
Is that lot right there part of that property?
Thank you.
I'm not sure.
Inside of the gate,
Yes.
That's her property,
Is that, yeah, the same property?
I'm not sure.
I believe.
I
so.
believe so.
Yeah.
But am I understanding it right, nothing is operating there currently now? Is this business still operating?
That specific business does not operate there currently based off of her comment. So a small retail establishment would be appropriate in an NC zoning district.
And it looks like there is parking sufficient for something like that kind of use, so.
For the,
That'll depend on what the business is, right?
Right.
That's right, yes, sir. But if it goes from commercial to commercial, it would not trigger parking necessarily unless there was some land disturbance activities.
But it's currently zone BN.
That's right. And again, with BN, that could go to a similar use as NC, or a similar zoning district as NC, but it also could go to GC. It just kind of depends on where the area is. That's kind of how it's been used currently.
What's the sort of tannish zoning that's,
Yeah, so all that you see there, that orange and the tan, that's all residential. So you can see GC would be more of a bright red color if you zoom out.
The darker brown is as a church, right?
Darker red is more so, you know, in areas with higher traffic counts,
Yeah,
things like.
on Dinah, Washington. The
Dinah,
darker
Washington,
brown.
the little
Yeah.
pinks are neighborhood
Church.
commercial. Oh, the actual use today, yeah, I believe that is a church.
So,
would that business be allowed as a special exception in a BN zone or in whatever the new zone is now, NC? What's the proposed?
So in order, I mean, I don't necessarily know how that use operated, how her carpet service operated, but if it was a general retail sales, you know, I believe that would be allowed in the NC zoning district. If it's fabric, you know,
I mean,
if it's.
more so than a use variance. A use variance
Yeah,
requires a hardship still, right? Or
Yeah.
did they change the
Yeah.
law?
No, that will not
Okay.
change.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it
so Mr. Pons,
necessarily qualifying for that.
I'm sorry. So, Mr. Pons, this is in my district, and I'm very familiar with the property and the business. So you said that this current zoning would go more towards, could go with either NC or GC, correct?
Yeah, so, for instance, up north where that dark red was, some of that could have been BN zoning district today, or is probably BN zoning district today as well.
The property is zoned R3 today.
Oh, all right.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's zoned BN.
BN, okay.
I just looked at the wrong one. I'm sorry, I looked at the wrong one.
Okay.
Oh, no panics, I looked at the wrong one.
So it's zone BN.
It is BN.
so if the business was thrown back up, it could operate under the BN.
So for instance, in general commercial, the GC zoning district that she wants to go to would allow for something like a gas station, would allow for more larger retail stores, things of that nature that's not necessarily neighborhood centric, where you see, you know, small convenience store or an office space, things like that, that would be more so neighborhood centric.
I mean, it seems like,
Business
you know,
offices,
it
that
could
kind of
stay
right.
what it is just because you're really getting into, I hate to say it, those spot zoning world. And the lots don't appear to be large enough for any large general commercial use. I mean, the business can go back in operation in the NC world or BN world, right?
Yeah, I believe so, depending,
I mean,
it depends on.
I
what
hate to open
exactly-
it up to something that we don't know what it would be.
Exactly.
I'd rather see it stay where it is. If there's a change in business philosophy, then that's when you request, if it doesn't fit within the NC, then you,
Come
if it's
back.
in GC,
Come back.
come back.
Come back and bring it to us, and it makes
Yeah,
sense.
makes sense, makes sense.
Okay, Chair, I'm sorry. Were you saying you agreed to leave it as BN?
Well, it would move into NC,
Okay,
keep it, because it could open back up in the NC world
okay.
if it
NC.
comes back as is, but to change it to GC, it could open up to a lot more things that we don't have any indication that would be the case. And
Okay.
that would be, probably cause some consternation with the neighbors if you make it GC and all of a sudden, here comes X. They didn't know
Okay.
X.
And it appears to me that NC would allow the use for the kinds of business that she's had there before. and
That's
would
right.
would most
I
likely
believe
have
so.
there
That's
in the future
It'd be
without any
small,
hardship.
small retail
small,
would be,
yeah.
Right.
would be appropriate there, yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If it's zone NC and something is, the business owner, I mean, the owner of this property decides that she's going to open a business that won't fit into NC, then can you just state the process that she would need to take for that?
So she could go through the rezoning process, which would come to you guys and then council ultimately, or she would have the option of a variance, a use variance request through the zoning board of adjustment.
Okay, I'm just because I'm curious. I guess because a business had been here in the past. I mean, I wonder why the recommendation wasn't to zone it R3 when there's so much around it that is R3.
So the recommendation in the future land use character map was that that area be traditional neighborhood core. And so what traditional neighborhood core, and I know we've talked about this some, that was that mix of small retail uses in combination with your small multifamily, single-family homes. And so taking it back to residential isn't necessarily the healthiest for the area either. What we have seen and what we continue to hear was that we need pocket retail across the city, but especially in your really nice, your gridded parts, your original parts of the city. And so with its zoning today, NC was the most appropriate.
And I like that we're keeping it like that because I know this property, I see it often. So even though it's not in operations, it is very well maintained and very upkept. And I would like to see it operating. This is an area that could really use some more economic development in small ways. So I'm not sure. I feel like because of its size, the size of the lot and the parking issues, we definitely couldn't have anything that wouldn't allow us to have the parking that we needed. So I like the zoning. I agree with the recommendation. So I don't know. It's a tough one for me because I want to make sure that we encourage. I would like to see this property up and developed as something else. It's in a nice location, walkable for all of the residents around. But I wish I had more information from the petitioner before we got to this point to know like what ideas on businesses would be there.
Just as an example, give us a couple of NC examples of what, I know what you're saying, Councilman. I think if you would give a couple of examples of what NC could be, I think that is like the retail.
So I'm going to scroll through a couple pages here. This NC column right here is where you'll want to look. The P means it's permitted. It
So like-
sounds like from what she described, she would fall under retail sales, small based on her square footage. So
Right.
it would be permitted in NC. Here's some additional uses. We're in the middle of several pages, so I'll just continue to scroll so you get examples. Again, in this NC column here.
We're kind of quick there, so.
Yeah, your
That's-
permitted uses are over on this
Well,
side.
I think you need to scroll back down to where you saw those
Yeah.
things
the
that are
last box.
re-
Okay,
realistically
this one,
what
yeah.
would, I mean,
NC. Okay.
like convenience store.
Yeah, convenient.
No,
Convenience store
okay,
would
yeah,
be
like-
permitted, financial institution,
What is that?
funeral home is a special exception, laundromat is permitted.
Okay.
Yeah,
Personal services like a salon,
This is NC.
that's right.
barbershop.
Correct.
So essentially, the use that she used to operate as prior to 2019 sounds like it would be allowed in this location as the draft currently shows it, which is NC. So she's requesting to go to GC because of the use, but it sounds like the use would also be allowed in NC. So
Okay.
I think if we were to keep it NC, she would still be able to operate that carpet business
If,
in the future if she wanted to reopen.
if you all don't have any more questions for us at this time, we can see if Ms. Taylor's here.
Yes.
No problem. Good evening. My name is Leah Taylor. The address is 2706 39th Court. I'm here representing Taylor's Carpet. As you see here, for over 40 years, it operated as a carpet and used furniture store. Because of that, it survived for 40 years in a predominantly poor area because it was able to reach beyond its location. The reason that we requested for it to be GC is because we wanted the retail sales to be beyond small. We wanted to be able to go into, expand into medium and large. There were other issues as far as that coding with parking. It only limited the parking to be the side or the back. It didn't take into account that the property has front parking. When you talk about the different uses, for instance, it's no way that a property can go into wholesales, which is under general commercial. It's no way the property could be used for maybe a conference or a training center, which is on a GC. And it's no way that a property could be used for like a plant nursery or greenhouse type of business, because it's not a part of the NC. So what I am asking today is for it to be zoned GC. My father, who operated the business, he passed away. I've never seen a pedestrian walk down the street with couches and mattresses. So it is for not only pedestrians, but people who have automobiles to come and to purchase those type of retails. As far as being small scale, pedestrian focused, where we're trying to grow and possibly expand the business, and even if we wanted to restart the business, we would not be able to do it under the NC coding. Like I said, under GC, it specifically say in your code book and in your plan, access by automobiles. We have front parking in front of the store. We do not have side parking or back parking. So this property should be GC.
Let me ask you a question on you said the street parking. Where would the street parking take place, on 23rd or on down to Washington?
Off down to Washington, right in front of the store.
I think
And the picture that you have
Did you
is
pull
a
it
picture,
back
I'm
up?
assuming he's taken from
I didn't see a place
Google.
in front of the store.
Yeah,
Where?
right there. And that's an old picture from, guess when he originally opened the stores. Nothing compares to what it looks like today.
So it's not on the street though, literally?
Yes, it's not on the street. You
Yeah.
pull up in the driveway and you park right in front. We have parking.
I understand.
Mm-hmm. Now, inside the gate, that's our property, inside the gate. And that's for, not for pedestrians, not for automobiles. It's for use by the business.
What's the maximum number of people that have been there at one time, parking?
One-time parking, I would say between 5 to 6, going in and out.
Can you get a better view of down in Washington? We can kind of see the width of it, and I can't envision the parking on the street right there.
No parking on the street,
No,
Not on
I'd
the
say
street.
it's,
Yeah.
so,
In front
on
of
the
I mean,
property.
yeah.
I guess,
In
one
front
of
of
the
the
things, one of the things that is in GC that would allow different types of business, as we mentioned, or has been mentioned, different types of business will have different parking requirements. And so you might run into a challenge with certain business, not knowing what it is. And that's kind of our dilemma, I think, for me, is that by making it GC, we open up so many different businesses that couldn't function at this spot.
Or that might not be desirable at that
Are
spot.
desirable at that spot. That's the thing that, we try to be, again, knowing that we're in a neighborhood setting, can be a little more sensitive to what we're opening that to be. That's where, when we talk about spot zoning, that's where you get in trouble very quickly if you have too wide a variety. From my perspective is that based on the business you had for 40 years, you can go back in business at this location under the NC. Now, if you want to change something, then you can come back before the zoning board of adjustments for a variance request or come back for a rezoning. And depending upon them with the specifics of what you want to do, from this chair standpoint, I feel more comfortable making a change like that and knowing exactly what the change is going to be and how it impacts the neighborhoods. That's just my opinion, and that's where I'm kind of leaning. So I don't think we want to help you get there. I think the councilman was correct. We want something there. The neighborhood needs something there, but it's got to be the right need and the right fit. And that's where I want to be sure we protect this area. So.
And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go with the recommended zoning too by the staff, but I am an advocate for this property. But I also want to, I also want to maintain the integrity of the neighborhood as much as we can. So to me, I just want to be specific, that if I need to advocate for it, I want to be able to tell the neighbors what's coming, how it's going to function, what they can look out for, what are the hours of operation, how much traffic flow, all of those things, all of those questions are important to me. So if I don't know what we're planning for the future, it's kind of harder for me to make a decision, but I do know that if we go with the recommended zoning, that it should be a very comfortable fit within the zoning. Whatever goes there should be a comfortable fit for the neighborhood. But, you know, this is not the panacea to this discussion. So if in the future you want to come back about something different than what's allowed in this zoning, then let's just have a conversation about it, because I'm open to that.
Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else on this matter?
This was the only comment on this property.
So do we need to say that we want to keep it as staff recommend, or we leave it alone and not vote on it?
No, I'd please like you to make a decision one way or another on this
Well,
one.
And I think I heard the commission say that we'd like to keep it as the planned the zoning change to NC, not the change to GC. So we need to take a motion, a second, and a vote, or a voice vote.
You could just voice vote.
Okay, does anyone disagree with that, my thoughts? Or so commission before us, we've had a request by the petitioner to change to GC. This body feels it should remain as planned to be NC. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, remains NC.
All right, the next comment is from James Bearden.
I'm interested in purchasing this property. I would like it to be zoned for townhomes and duplexes. It's currently proposed to be university commercial.
Well, let me speed this one up. I mean, we're not in the business to try to help any developer or property person in a quest to do something. You know, if that's something you work out with the owner of the property on a conditional basis, and then come before this body and tell us what you're going to do to ask for a rezoning change. So I don't think we're in the business of rezoning for development for a non-property owner.
I agree.
Yeah, for a speculative nature.
You know,
So you can vote to keep it the same?
I recommend that we keep the as is, as said to be, which would have been what?
UC.
UC, okay. Anybody?
You can just do a voice vote.
So all those in favor of maintaining the planned UC, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it.
All right, the next comment is from LaShonda Lockett for the property at 37th Avenue and 8th Street.
I see so much potential for this property in West End entirely, therefore I'm requesting special zoning to be commercial. This property is currently vacant and is not in the best condition. However, if you approve my request, I will work to fulfill my vision and seeing that this property not only brings character, but it will also be a benefit to this community. So currently proposed as SFR 5, and she is proposing it to be some sort of commercial.
Kind of vague, isn't it?
She is here if
Okay.
you want to bring her up.
Can you bring up a site of that? I like seeing the visual of it. There you go. Thank you.
And just to clarify, Are you the current owner?
So where are we? I think I remember this now.
Before the counter starts. All right, good evening. I'm sorry, it was a little vague there, but I don't know the details in terms of the code, which I'm requesting, but this property was actually built in 1924. It was renovated 1994, the last time it was renovated. And I purchased the property 2 years ago. When I purchased the property, it is commercial. And of course, I've spoken with Caitlin over the past few weeks and did some more research in finding that it is still zoned as commercial through the tax assessor office. It's actually Class 2. And over the years, the property has been a laundromat, it's been a store, as well as a restaurant. It is a corner lot. I know it was a concern that it's a small lot and concerns as relates to parking. The building itself is 1,456 feet. The lot itself is 2,997 feet. So I know it's pretty small, and it is in a residential area. However, looking at and hearing from the residents in the past, knowing those types of businesses were indeed benefit, to the community, especially those within walking distance of this property. I'm not looking to put a laundromat there. I think the community can see so much more than a laundromat, than a liquor store. So I know that if needed, if I need to scale back in terms of what's needed there on the property, I'll be happy to do so. But I do see there being a potential for something like a quick grill or maybe a salon suite. If I go with something like a quick grill or something like that, I look at that similarly to what you see in front of Publix on University Boulevard. And we see students walking there all the time. It's a heavy traffic area. Coinciding with that, I understand that being a concern. However, I've met with several representatives from the city of Tuscaloosa as we've done a walkthrough for Burrell Odom Park. One of the concerns that we did mention in the area is traffic, and I know at some point that's going to be something that needs to be addressed on 8th Street. And I know the city's looking to make a lot of renovations for that park. And that property is within 4 blocks proximity of that park. So it is a decent walking distance. We have kids who catch the bus on that same street on 8th Street. So there are potentials for that particular property. Like I said, I purchased it, again, initially as a commercial. That is what it was posted, and that's what I purchased it as.
Staff, what is the current zoning by zoning?
It's currently zoned R4.
R4?
R4. So I believe the tax assessor has the building itself classified as a commercial structure. The zoning on the property is residential. The building from the tax assessor's office, I believe, is commercial.
So under SFR 5, we couldn't have commercial in that, could we?
That's correct.
So SFR 5 couldn't have commercial in it, if that's what you're looking for.
I think that's a mistake.
Yeah, that was an error.
Yeah, I
Can
think
you
that's.
bring back up the site
I
again?
think, what should it, okay, so what are we,
It's
what are
some
we?
kind of business, commercial.
Is there sidewalks?
Zach didn't say
Only
which.
sidewalks are across the street, aren't they?
Yeah, the sidewalks are across the street. There's a concrete slab in front of the building. And it's butted up against another piece of property. So it is a challenging space.
So I guess I'm confused now. What is she requesting it to be?
Not to put words into
In the
Ms.
city.
LaShonda's mouth, I think if you were to entertain a commercial zoning classification for this property, it would have to be neighborhood commercial.
So this is a prior non-conforming use.
The building itself is yes.
So it's like I think we somewhat
It's been
fall
vacant.
under the same category as we did with the one prior before you. Is again, I think this commission is very open to promoting a neighborhood type commercial in this area. But again, our role here is to try and protect it right now, not knowing what would go in there. So from our standpoint, changing it to neighborhood commercial when it's currently residential is somewhat spot zoning in that area without an understanding of what could go there.
I understand.
I think that this commission, as well as the staff, has a track record, and we would like to see a nice use in there that fits in the neighborhood. And again, if you bring us that plan, I think we'd jump on board, that everybody'd work circles to make it happen, either going back through the rezoning process or going through the board of adjustments for non-conforming use. So I think the possibility is there to do it if the right project is brought, but us to just blanket rezone it right now I don't think is what we need to do.
And I understand that. I
Right.
know there's more work to be done, but that I just wanted to express my interest in.
Well, you bring the right project for us,
Yeah.
we'll help you out.
And
All right.
And I
think
want
we-
to commend you on, I know I heard you being sensitive to the parking requirements and all that in terms of what you may want to put there. So I think that's going to help, whatever you come back with, having that sensitivity. So we appreciate you doing that.
Thank you so much.
I was just going to say that I think, one of the things we have to protect against is not your intentions, but a future owner's
Correct.
intentions.
Exactly.
And once we've zoned it, we lose control over what might go there. But if you can bring us a project that is compatible with the kind of thing you were talking about with your vision, then, we would welcome it. But we do have to think about, once you open a category wider, then you don't have any way to scale it back.
Yes, I do understand, and I know,
Yeah, I can tell.
speaking with Caitlin, she did express there will be some challenges with it, but I'm willing to do the lead work to make sure I bring back the appropriate information that you guys need for
We'll
the
be looking
approval.
for you.
Yeah, I like
Thank
it.
you so much. Thank you for the time.
Yep,
you.
thank you.
For clarification, are you proposing to leave this as
We're gonna say
SFR
leave it
5?
as SR 5, yeah. So, Commission, I think I'm hearing that we want to retain the SFR 5 plan classification. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it.
All right, the next comment is from Hunter Spidel at 36th Place and 33rd Avenue. He's got a few. We've got to find it, sorry.
That's it.
This is the right comment. It's in the wrong location. So we'll read the comment and go to the location.
Can you show
this
us the
says-
location on the map? I mean,
Yeah, it's just, the address that is discussed in the comment is not that location on the map.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day for everyone.
All right, so it says, God forbid if someone were to something were to ever happen to the apartments at 3621 33rd Avenue. From what I understand with the MR1 zoning, I would be unable to obtain the same density in a replacement situation. I currently have 13 units on half an acre site, and the MR1 zoning allows only 15 units per acre. I'd like to request a zoning that would get us to the current density of this property.
So he's got 13 and the change would take him to 15 so he could get more?
Yes, so he currently is not able to build, like if, the current zoning today is R4. If something were to happen to those apartments, he wouldn't be able to build back to 15 units per acre either way.
The lot is 55 feet wide and 420 feet across. It is a very, very narrow lot.
Where is it at? Which one? That was that lot.
I say,
Ms. Giles is pulling it up for you so you can see it on this map.
So he's really got two street fronts. He's using the 33rd as his front, right?
That's right.
That's how he's able to do that, or was able to do that.
Yeah, and it probably was built before the zoning anyway in this area.
This is your view with your lot lines.
So it's two lots right now.
So MR1 would allow for townhomes, duplexes, but it wouldn't allow for the density that he currently has on the site, which is non-conforming currently.
So if you rezone it to the, whatever it is, MR1, he'll have a prior non-conforming use there until the situation is,
Well, and
You know.
even, I think it's important to note that even today, he may have 13 units on the site, but if something were to happen to that property, let's say it's no longer there right now, you would only be able to build back 8 units today.
And would he still be able to build back 8 units under
Under MR1,
MR1?
it would depend on the lot layout, quite frankly. Because of the way the lot is shaped and situated, it is a very difficult lot to build on, no matter what the zoning is.
Yes,
Right.
yes. I think this is what we're trying to fix.
But the zoning that you suggest is the correct zoning for this size lot.
It is,
And is that not what we're trying to correct?
yes,
Issues like this that
yes, you are
you could do
correct,
stuff 40 years ago you can't do today.
Yeah.
Because building codes and things change.
100%.
Safety issues and all that.
Is the property owner here?
So that was pretty much my question is technically, currently, right now, I have 13 units on that lot. God forbid something happened, I can only build back, I think, was it 7 or 8? And I think that's what Zach and I spoke about earlier. I don't know if there is a zoning where I can get back that density. However, that was my question. Now, I do understand, and I didn't read through everything as far as setbacks and everything to that. I guess everything that goes along with that. But that was kind of my,
I mean, I
more or
think
less
that,
my
I think
question.
that's, I think that's part of the issues. I mean, with the length of the lot and the narrowness of the lot, capabilities of putting that density in there with the setbacks in any
Right,
classification.
capacity.
I don't know that we can make it work. I can't honestly say it, but if you've got a method by which you think it would fit into one and you could put 15 or 13 in there, I'd like to see it. Because I think it's somewhat of a garden, basketball through a garden hose. to
Right.
be honest
Well,
with you,
and
setback requirement.
I guess when I originally pulled up the map, I was clicking on some of our other complexes, if you will, and they had the, don't hold me to this, what's the other zoning over there? MRF?
MFR.
MFR, I was close. They had MFR zoning, so I was just wondering why some of our complexes had that, some of them did not. Actually, I own the one next door there too, and I say next door, that's a stretch, but it's got a blue dot on it there too. That is Capri Villa Apartments, which that'll be something else that comes up. But that was pretty much my main concern, was why some of them were zoned one way and the other ones the other. And then obviously the density question there too. But I appreciate y'all taking a look at it.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you. I think we're probably unanimous in our thinking it needs to stick with the plan that the staff has placed upon it being MR1, correct?
If that is what you would like to do,
I think we need to keep it as y'all have plotted out and planned for it to be. So, that being said, do I have all those in favor of keeping as staff recommendation MR1, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
while we are in this area, let's go ahead and click on Mr. Spottle's comment in Glen Lane.
This is again a request to MFR zoning. I believe the property is the highest and best, I believe that this is the highest and best value or best use for the property located at 3421 Glen Lane. I believe that this would incentivize redevelopment in the future. So this is an existing apartment complex, I do believe.
How many units are there now?
I believe, is the same property owner. I think he said 40-something unit.
There are 40, it was 44 units before we purchased the property. Some of the units were combined. making it a total of 40 units now. It was 44 before. And actually, prior to, I made the comment on the board, and then I ended up speaking with Zach. Technically, the zoning that is on there currently, what y'all have, I should have looked at this before I came. I didn't come prepared
It's
to talk. I don't know if
R4.
y'all noticed that. Say
It's
what?
currently zoned R4.
But I mean like the new zoning.
Oh, MR1.
MR1. MR1, from my understanding, allows 15 units per acre. That site is roughly 5 acres. So technically, I could
Real bit.
develop back what is currently there.
60.
Maybe 75.
75
But
units, yeah.
either way, give or take a little bit. So.
You're okay with that?
Say what?
You're okay with
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
All right.
I think I could live with that, and if I needed to come back in front of y'all later to change that, I would welcome
We'd
that.
listen to you if you came back.
Yeah. Thank y'all.
All right, so Commission, we want to, again, same scenario, we want to keep it as planned to be MFR,
MR1.
right?
MR1.
It's ML1, getting a little tongue-tied. So, Commission, all those in favor of keeping it staff recommended as MR1, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, Mr. Spidel has one more comment at 23rd Street and 28th Avenue.
This says this property is currently a quadplex with 4 one-bedroom units. The SFR 5 zoning, from my understanding, allows for 8 units per acre. I'd like to request a zone that would allow for the same density that is currently on the property. Thank you for your consideration.
Probably should have just stayed up here. So currently on that property, I do have a quadplex. It is 4 one-bedroom units. Earlier, like I said before, something were to happen to that building, I would like to be able to build back. I do understand, after speaking with Zach again, this would be kind of spot zoning, which is something y'all don't feel like doing, and I don't blame you there. But that was pretty much my bit on that one. Any questions for me?
No, sir.
All right, appreciate it, y'all.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you for looking so, no, I appreciate property owners looking so carefully at what we're doing and asking questions and.
After speaking with Zach, it kind of cleared. And
Good.
like I said before, I was just looking at everything that I had that was multifamily and looking at the zonings that I had on some of them, and they didn't match. So
And we want you to understand what's going on, so that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to retain the staff recommendation of future.
SFR 5.
SFR 5. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Ayes have it.
We need to bottle some of his energy.
I would just love to know how he came up with the name of his property.
All right, Commission, we are moving into our final bit of comments left over from West Tuscaloosa in the Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and 7th Street area. So the first comment we've got is from Josh Dugas. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I missed one. Mr. Leach is signed up first, and then we were going to get to Mr. Dugas. So Mr. Leach has property in this area, and he is here tonight. I do see him.
So this is from Mr. Leach, and there is no comment actually, but it says if he's here to speak.
Well, there's 2 comments in the same area, and there are comments written in this one.
Okay, yeah, so we'll go with this. I own 3113, 3107 7th Street, and 714 31st. I'd like to have the option of NC Neighborhood Commercial Zone. It is my plan to hold all 3 of these properties for future investment or for future investors. This is,
Show us which
again,
one we
Carlos
have here. We
Leach.
got so many dots on this thing. Those all 3 right there? Okay. That's that little pocket behind the Dollar General, right? No?
It's a little bit further back.
Further back, Dollar General's down here. Okay, it's the block past it. There's a little corner.
2
old gas
duplexes
station.
there.
I mean, I think we ought to hear from him, but I think this falls in the same line we've been talking about all night long.
We've got one more comment from him in this same area, so we're going to read that one as well.
Those 3 are the, okay.
So
What's the-
this
it's the
one
fourth
says.
property?
He's got those 3 dots in there.
Those 3 comments.
Okay.
Yep. And so this final comment says, as the new owner, I've demolished the abandoned house where the drug dealers were active and drunks were sleeping in abandoned cars, cleared off the lot of all debris and trees to allow this lot and area to prosper. So he wants, again, this to be neighborhood commercial.
Just, okay, so which lot, just the one lot or all of them? He wants
All
the-
three of those dots you see there,
Okay.
he would like to be neighborhood
All right,
commercial.
I want to hear from him, because, I mean, I rode by there, and there's being work being done on those houses, they look great.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Is Mr. Leach here?
Hey, while he's coming up, Zach or Ashley, all right,
My name is Carlos Leach. I do own all three of those properties, and, yeah, I would like to turn it into commercial.
now, a couple of those were houses originally, and you're doing some demo and some
Well, the
rehab,
one
aren't you?
behind, the two in the front still exist. They look identical. I
Yeah.
live in one on the right and one on the left, and waiting for Martin Luther King to further develop before I know what to do with it. One behind, I was having so much problem with drunks and drug addicts. I just went ahead and demoed it down, cleared all the trees away, cleared it out, made grass out of it.
I mean, I feel like we're going to repeat ourselves, but, I mean, I think we would love to have some commercial if it's the right commercial. And of course, zoning is going to drive that. So your use is going to determine which bucket you'd fall in on the
Well, when I
commercial.
pulled it up, it showed MR1. You know, it was R3. And so that's why I wanted to give at least a comment that would like to turn it to commercial now while y'all are making decisions.
Well, I don't think this body's going to make any changes from current zoning without a known business use.
Right.
So
Well,
I
I
think,
don't know till I see how Martin Luther King
and
develops, yeah.
I know that area very well, and it needs some, it's got
And
good
I'm willing
commercial
to do that,
opportunity.
just give me the chance, and I will.
I think given the right, as Chairman said, given the right project, we'll jump on it.
Yeah.
You know,
That's all I ask.
You know,
Well,
I think,
we'll be-
yeah, we're, yeah.
You
Good.
come to us, I think you've seen a lot of
That's
nodding
all
on
I
the
ask, just a
commercial
chance.
side. We want to see it, just got to be the right
Okay.
fit.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yep, so basically on all of Mr. Leach's properties, we're going to say as a body that we want to maintain staff's recommendation of an MR1 for all those currently. All those in favor of that, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, give us a moment to update Mr. Leach's comments on the right-hand side and make sure that we are finishing out with what is left over, because we don't have very many left.
Those houses have good bones, Mr. Leach.
They're good.
That's houses you're rehabbing, they got good bones to them.
Yeah, they're very nice houses. I like to keep the two together.
Yeah.
And then leave those that are beautiful houses.
Oh, yeah. You're doing good work there.
Thank you.
All right, Commission, now we are again back in the MLK and 7th Street area, and we will start with a comment from Josh Dugas. I thought we had one left over. We do not have one left over from Mr. Dugas. I apologize for that. Sarah Bridger Gilmore.
This comment says, my husband and I own and reside in the home on this lot, and I believe that MR1 is the zone that most closely matches our current zoning, which allows lot sizes to conform to code. So it's just a comment in support.
So, no
No
need for us to
vote
make comment.
necessary for this
Okay.
one.
We like those.
We do like that.
Those are the easy ones.
Yep.
All right, the next comment is Serena Fortenberry's. This is a carryover comment from the last meeting.
With the exception of the block to the north that has been rezoned to allow townhouses, the rest of this 5-block area on the east side of MLK is zoned R3. The equivalent zoning for R3 is the new zoning code SFR3, a zone that permits single-family homes only. MR1 permits single-family residences, duplexes, triplexes, and apartment complexes. It is divergent and not equivalent zoning for these blocks. And again, we did do a vote from last month to take away triplexes and apartment complexes from that MR1 zoning. So you're really only looking at single-family residences and duplexes, which I feel helps her comment.
So with those changes, that becomes a comment in support?
Not necessarily. I don't think she's here to speak on it. So I don't think
So-
there's really
so
any
how is that gonna
suggestion
be-
here, more so than just a comment.
There are
I mean,
also.
if you've got a zone that permits all these different things, how are you going to delineate that except for wherever it is?
They
The
changed,
rest of that 5-block area on the east side of MLK.
So
Is
she's-
that's what she's wanting to not allow triplexes and, or that's what y'all decided not to allow triplexes and apartment complexes, correct?
So yeah, all of this kind of brownish tan part, y'all ended up making the vote to remove apartment complexes in town and triplexes from the allowed uses. And with conversations with these people in this area, that was a primary concern, and so that's why you don't see a lot of the people here tonight that were at the last meeting, because that was really
So
the main
what-
concern.
The
what
change
will
in the
zone be
definition
now?
is
That's
what
right. The
has
change in the
satisfied
use.
their concern.
SFR3 will allow out single-family homes.
Just single-family detached homes.
Got it, okay, okay, that answers, thank you.
So then again, my question, is there a need to make any kind of vote on this, or are we?
Not on this
See
specific
Caitlin nodding her
comment.
head.
I think if there's one more comment in this area as well that, or two more comments I think that we have not cleaned up from Matthew Kaesmer and Aaron Stone King as well, that are along this same discussion about whether MR1 is appropriate for this area.
So we want to wait and hear that before we take a vote on all of it?
It might be prudent, it might be easier to make a determination about this triangle area at the end of those comments.
You can let me know that applies to this whole area, and I'll update all three of these
Okay,
comments.
yeah. All right, so we want to move to the next one then?
Let's move to the next one. So this is in that same area. Our current zoning in this area is R3. Why are we being rezoned to mixed residential 1? This street/neighborhood seems to more closely conform to the SFR3 designation. I live and own property in this area. This is from Miss Erin Stone King. And
And then there is a
can do-
comment from Matthew Kaesmer as well.
So this is from Matthew Kaesmer. My comment is reflective not only on my block, but broadly of the Newtown neighborhood. The proposal to zone Newtown as MR1 is not reflective of the current makeup layout of the neighborhood and risks fundamentally changing the fabric of the neighborhood. It is my opinion that the proposed zoning is missing a code which reflects and protects the Newtown neighborhood, namely a code which allows for small lots, small single-family residences, and disallows higher density structures such as duplexes and triplexes. The current arguments for MR1 are to bring the current lots into code. However, this would be remedied by creating a zone which accurately reflects the existing neighborhood. The argument against creating a new code, as described above, is that property owners would lose the right to create duplexes and townhomes, which are currently permitted under R3. But as I understand it, R3 only allows for such high-density structures if the plot was developed as a planned unit development. No PUDs exist between the railroad and 38th Avenue north of Stillman Boulevard. Thus, no property owners would lose rights to build duplexes. To conclude, I propose that the zoning professionals create a code which reflects the current layout of Newtown and protects it against unwanted development, as clearly stated by residents at the last meeting. This code would allow for small lots with single-family residences, thus bringing more properties into code, but disallow for the building of further duplexes in the area, which would not strip anyone of property rights under current R3 code with no PUDs. And Mr. Kaesmer is here, and I don't know if Ms. Stone King is here as well. Okay, it's just Mr. Kaesmer.
I have not much more to say. But if you have any questions, happy to answer. Matt Kaesmer, 3022 6th Street. I think this reflects Serena's comment, although I have not spoken with her and can't speak for her, but I think she specifically mentioned duplexes as well. And we want something that reflects, Newtown is a large portion of West Tuscaloosa. It's an historic district in Tuscaloosa, maybe not officially so, but is one of the oldest parts of the city. As such, a lot of these lots were plotted before the city even existed. And I think we should have a zone which reflects that and would protect the neighborhood rather than allowing for further development of duplexes, as stated by many members of the community last meeting.
Any questions for Mr. Casper?
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Staff, I mean, that's based on all the interaction of recent with this area. Give us some wisdom.
Well, I mean, Miss Shonda Lockett was one of those people that spoke up last month. We've had some discussions with her, as well as Mr. Dugas and his wife as well, and they were all pretty good discussions. You don't see them here tonight, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, everybody in this area is for the change.
Is the remaining, I guess, controversy or concern is the duplexes only? Is that what's left?
So duplexes and townhomes would be allowed under the MR1.
And that's the objection?
The townhomes or duplexes?
Are those lots?
Duplexes and townhomes.
It's on R1.
Townhomes would be the most dense, I guess you could build in the MR1. And, you know, as we mentioned last month, there are some existing duplexes in this area. There is a townhome development going north, as Mr. Kaysmer mentioned.
The lots
as
are
well.
relatively small, though, aren't they? I mean, width-wise, in most cases.
I'm sorry?
Most of the lots are width-wise or what? I mean, they look like they're all pretty close to 50 to 75.
40, yeah, some of them, 40 would be more so the SFR5.
Yeah, to support where Mr. Pons is going, a lot of these are your standard 50 by 150 lots. Another thing to note that we've had discussion with the neighbors nearby is this will make some of those existing multifamily structures non-conforming, which they were in favor of, which I think follows that vein of removing multifamily from this zone. Those are primarily located on 8th Street. And then you've got some scattered duplexes and things. Again, it's the same message you heard from us last month of allowing some small mixed residential types along with allowing small lot sizes that allow blighted properties to be redeveloped.
Need to come to the podium quickly.
I just want to be clear that overall, I don't want anyone to lose.
You gotta come to, wait, come
I
to
just
my,
want to be clear that overall, I don't want anyone to lose property rights in terms of their ability to change on their property. I don't want people to be non-conforming. I would prefer to have a zone or a code which reflects the current makeup of this relatively large area of the city, which is small lots, single-family homes. And
Seems like we got
I
a
think
lot.
you said that there were a total of approximately 10 duplexes in the neighborhood currently? So it seems extreme to blanket that, okay, well, to protect 10 duplexes, we're going to blanket change everything to allow duplexes everywhere in the neighborhood. It seems like there could be a compromise in between with a zone that would reflect what is currently there. I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Just to provide clarity on that, we've been having a lot of discussions about this, obviously, and we went on a little bit of a mission to try to find exactly where some of these duplexes are. It's tough to nail down, especially because a lot of them are non-conforming currently, but somewhere between 10 and 15 we can verify. And then there's also about 6 or 8 small apartment complexes. These are 4 to 8 plexes. So it's not just duplexes. We didn't nail down specifically on triplexes either, but that gives you a description of the residential use types in the area.
And our staff, we were having to use water data, which isn't necessarily the easiest because even in downtown, there are units and older complexes that are still on 1 meter. You know, I lived in a quadplex that was on 1 meter. So the mission became challenging, so the numbers may not exactly be accurate. Staff maintains that MR1 is the most appropriate
You know, I feel
for
like
this portion.
I feel like we made a lot of progress since the last meeting in this area. And knowing that we still have a little time before this thing is in stone, if we're not there completely, but the staff has made good recommendations here, I feel like we should keep moving down this path, keep it where, what you're recommending based on your expertise and professionalism. And if things need to change as we get further down the road, we'll talk about them. I feel like 90% of what we were kind of worried about last month has been resolved. Is that a fair
I believe
assessment?
it's fair.
So, any comments or thoughts, or if
okay,
not, I'm gonna say, let's,
I just have one question, just for clarification. Where is the property that kind of a compromise was worked out so that it was not going to be MR1, but was only going to allow single-family duplexes and townhouses?
Great question. That's this entire zone. MR1 is that zone. That's this brown color that
But
you
you're
see.
saying across Martin Luther King, you want it to stay MR?
This is all MR1, which allows those 3 residential use types.
All right, what was the property that we just talked about that y'all said that, with maybe Miss Dugat, or Josh Dugat, that it was proposed?
So it was part of the conversation from last month where there were concerns about the permitted land uses in MR1. And some of the permitted land uses in that entire zoning district were struck out, so that it was only single-family homes, duplexes, and townhomes in that MR1 zoning district. And we find that to be a really fair and balanced step up, because appropriately scaled, you won't be able to tell the difference.
So it's still going to be MR1?
Yes, ma'am.
But just allow those 3 things?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry.
All right, Commission, I guess if this is the last portion of these West Tuscaloosa map comments, so if you would like to clarify where you're going with these for now.
I was tracking where I was going. We still tracking with you on that as far as these properties, this area here?
Yes, we will continue to maintain the triangle as a point of discussion and continued conversation with the neighbors.
We're not gonna resolve it tonight, and we're not gonna, if we make a decision tonight, it's gonna impact somebody else in a different way.
Right.
I feel like we should stick with where we're going and what we've all kind of been working towards. And if it needs to be changed, we got time before the final stamp.
You're saying carry on with MR1 as it has been amended in discussions,
Yeah.
but continue to have conversation.
Yes.
Easy.
Easy? It is? Okay, great.
It's-
Yeah, okay. Did y'all get that, Commission? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, Commission, those are the comments we have in West Tuscaloosa, and we're going to move into downtown. So if there is anything else in West Tuscaloosa before we move to downtown? And I think for those that are here, and we're only here for West Tuscaloosa, please feel free. You can stick around and hang out with us, but also you would be free to go. We're not going to come back.
Won't you give them 30 seconds if anybody wants to depart? Thank y'all. Okay. Floor is yours, Ms. Kreitz.
All right, Commission. Moving into downtown, we've got a really brief zoning text discussion, a point of clarification that we needed to make as we began testing the downtown perimeter zoning district out. We've had some really great conversations with the neighbors in the area, the downtown stakeholders, and figuring out what we needed to do exactly with height in the downtown perimeter. You see, of course, it was there to support moderate commercial uses, et cetera, a range of attached residential uses. And the downtown perimeter zoning district was based off of the downtown edge future land use character type. And you can see those character examples in the left-hand side of your screens and what those building blocks might look for. And you see that height range is what's in question here. You see a 2-story minimum north of Bryant Drive and then 1 to 4 stories south of Bryant. Well, as we began to dig in and talk to folks, we started to say, does that really work? And so when we first broached this subject with you, these were the stakeholder involvement comments that we got back. And those have all been addressed. And we thought we might have reached a good place with the height, but we were wrong, and that's okay. We can be wrong. What we are looking at now is that the building height is still just a bit tall. And so what we are proposing instead for the north of Bryant area is still that minimum of 2 stories. North of Bryant Drive, if anything is redeveloping and has redeveloped, it has been a minimum of 2 stories, but we feel a maximum of 4 is more appropriate as opposed to what is today a max of 7. And I know this came up in last month's meeting because downtown perimeter does get a bit into the area we were discussing last month as well. In the south of Bryant area, we maintain there's no minimum height, but cap it at a max of 3 stories. And that would be similar to what you see in that area today. If y'all don't have any concerns with that.
What do you consider a story?
Floor to ceiling.
I mean,
Yeah, floor to ceiling.
can I have a 20-foot?
Sure, absolutely. If you build it, they will come. It's the field of dreams. All right, so with the zoning map draft in the downtown area, of course, this is that downtown and university area that we are discussing. Of course, you've got that downtown portion and campus all the way over to McFarland, up to the river, down to 15th Street, and over by Capitol Park. Our council districts, we are in districts 1, 4, and 5 this evening. This is our current zoning map, and my favorite color, institutional green, is all over this map thanks to our friends at the University of Alabama. You see a lot of BC zoning, and you see Riverfront Development District, a lot of BN and BGO. This is the future land use character map, and you again see how things started to play out. And an important portion of the discussion tonight is this downtown edge, or as we lovingly refer to it, historic pink, because we needed to find that mix between downtown and the residential areas that run along that spine of Queen City Avenue, and what that proposed zoning looks like for the area in total. What you see now, again, we are going back to our traditional zoning colors. So institutional uses are shades of blue. Institutional public uses owned by the federal, state, or city are there in that darkest blue. Your semi-public uses are your mid-range blue colors. Things like DCH are in that semi-public zoning classification. And then the University of Alabama gets its own sweet, sweet baby blue for all of their items. So we've got just 2 slides of proposed updates, things that we noticed as we were discussing with stakeholders, quick and minor changes. So this is at Gary Fitz, which is formerly 6th Street and 29th Avenue over by Capitol Park. What we noticed was a need to take this downtown historic edge and just shift it over into this block. This block is where the Capitol School also is, and so it's just a more appropriate zoning classification because it is the edge of the historic district. And then finally, these comments come from stakeholder feedback. The Guildswood subdivision was so quick to provide comments, and we're so appreciative of them. I told Guildswood, we took the safe route because your property today is zoned R1. And so we just decided you'd want it to be R1. And they said, well, if we can have it open space, we want it to be open space. And I said, cool beans, y'all, I love this. And so what you see now is their property, and we'll read their comments into the record really quickly, but you see their corrections adjusted here. Those circled properties are owned by Guildswood subdivision, and then this open space that runs through here is partly owned by the city of Tuscaloosa. It's that old railroad right-of-way, and also the Guildswood subdivision. And so it connects over just that open space portion, even though it is not a pedestrian connector at all, just making sure that its status, because today it's zoned ML, which is vastly inappropriate. Just vastly.
You sound so disgusted.
You know, we're just correcting things, Ms. Hornsby.
I understand.
All right, so for public comment this evening, again, of course, we are using that 3-minute timer. Planning Commission members can grant that extension, and we are going to ask that for those items you see that need a decision, I'll ask you to make a decision, but there are a lot of really just comments of support in this area, and I'm really proud of that. I'm really excited about it. So with that, Mr. Pons. All right, Commission, we are going to start, we're going to zoom it out really quickly so you can see where the comments are located, and we're going to dance through these. We're going to get them all, but I just want to see where all the comments are located for this area. All the way over to McFarland, you see we're good. We've got one comment in UA, and then we're just going to handle these comments as they go.
First comment by Kendall Mullenhour. Love the upzoning proposed for around this area. Would love seeing more 2700 Capitol Park / mixed use and family apartments built by right. More opportunities for people to live near where they work. And that's just a comment of support. So no need to vote on that one.
And we'll just mark these comments of support with okay so they gray out as we go.
And just like Ms. Kreitz said, very appreciative of these comments as well. This is from Kendall again. This area looks so much more clean and uniform in the proposed zoning map compared to the existing zoning. Good job with how everything is set up here. And just another comment in support. Next up, we have one from Miss Abby Shinnerl. I would love to see the downtown area more walkable and bikeable, especially with emphasis on safety and accessibility. This is just a comment of support, no necessary vote here.
And Commission, you'll see a few of these comments don't deal specifically with the zoning itself, but with some other planning and land use related items. Where I could, I got in touch with a few, but I think Abby may have snuck in there after I was still checking the map. We'll reach out and we can talk afterwards with them.
Next up, we have another one from Kendall Mullenhour. Not sure why some of the Riverwalk parks aren't marked as open space, but this one is one of the areas that might need adjusting, and we did speak with them and clarified that. So we're going to keep that as...
Yeah, not all city-owned property, and you see that in the map. Not all publicly owned property, not all city-owned property, like the Riverwalk, would need to be zoned institutional public. It's just common practice that if governmental entities are permitted, unless there's some overarching need, like the federal building, you just use the surrounding land use.
Mm-hmm. Next up, another comment of support from Wanda Muzan. I see it as an area of many opportunities. So this area over here, small home businesses and missing middle housing types, including ADUs. By not zoning this as single-family residential only, it opens up more versatile housing opportunities. So again, just a comment of support. This one is from Ryland Eubank. The bike lanes in this zone, notably along University Boulevard, are very useful for getting from place to place. However, they are constantly blocked by private and university-owned vehicles, which is a major safety concern as people on bicycles must weave into fast-moving vehicular traffic. Some sort of protection beyond paint or some sort of enforcement would go a long way towards people feeling safe using this for transportation. And again, this isn't necessarily something that we're talking about right now, but it does have to do with land use. Next up, again, from Ryland Eubank. I approve of this moving forward. Mixed-use zoning, loosening the restriction on land uses will allow more freedom in construction and provide improved access to amenities. And this is just a comment of support. This is from Zachary Johnson. More should be done to increase walkability in this stretch of University Boulevard. Sidewalks are awkward, narrow, and dimly lit. On top of this hostile walking environment makes it extremely unlikely that I would walk or bike from the campus area to downtown. So, comment of concern, but nothing that we're really dealing with tonight. But we are definitely taking measures towards this.
And Mr. Johnson is here. He did sign up on the public comment.
I can give you the one. If you guys want to cook through this, I'm happy to wait until later. I recognize that this is much more for individual parcels than general plans.
Cool.
Carry on. All right. Next up, this is from Ryland Eubank as well. This is a very valuable area of town that could be used to benefit a great amount of people, so I recommend changing the R1 designation to allow residences that are not single-family. This is just a general comment on single-family residential, I believe. But again, he can speak more to that in a little bit.
Commission, this is that property between 15th Avenue and Pinehurst. Kind of that, it's Mr. Tames's house and the property behind it.
So I guess this is one.
It is a comment for
Need to be
possible
voted on,
consideration.
yeah. Mr. Eubank is identifying the area just to the entrance of Pinehurst right there in that kind of ravine. Changing it from SFR1 to something that allows more different types of uses. Do you want to speak on that?
Oh, I'm Zach Johnson.
Oh, my bad. My bad. Is Mr. Eubank here?
He's not.
Okay.
I'd like to hear more. I wish he was here to make this comment, because we've had several issues that come about these properties before, and nothing ever happened with either one of them. Whether it be Mr. Adcox's project years ago, or even Mr. Thames wanted to. Didn't we subdivide that property for?
Yes, you subdivided that property. Currently, the eastern half is zoned R4 but only as a planned unit development for duplexes.
I'll say it's
So where his house is, that's still what?
So Mr. Tames's house is, the house itself is still zoned R1. And the property to the east that was recently subdivided in the last year is still zoned R4 with that PUD condition that was placed on it.
But he's not historic edge, was he?
No, it's not downtown historic edge.
So when framework passes, the PUD still stops?
No. The PUD does not still stand. It would be rezoned to SFR1.
Which would only allow for the
Single family.
single-family detached home.
We had to come back before us to
That's right.
start all over again. So
Yes.
I feel like we should keep it as it's planned to be right now, because it's such an area that's going to get lots of attention when anybody tries anything. So, staff, I say, our commission, I recommend we keep it as planned, SFR1. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it.
Next up, again from Ryland Eubank, this is a very convenient place to live, and the housing costs in this zone are continuing to increase as people realize the convenience of living within walking distance to shops, restaurants, and grocery stores. A removal of minimum parking requirements could open up new housing opportunities as less of this valuable land is dedicated to vehicle storage. So again, not something that we're really addressing here tonight, but a comment more so for the text portion. So no vote necessary
Like a
here.
hotel or a motel.
Yeah, that's, this is from Kindle. Kindle again. GIS map shows this parcel and one to the east, owned by the city of Tuscaloosa. Probably needs to be open space here as well. We've addressed this as well. And then this is a lot of the discussion with the Guildswood community that we've already made the changes to, but I will read these into record. This space has been maintained as open space for years. It's the most appropriate to recognize this as designating this lot as open space district, which we have proposed as staff. This is from Pearson Carmichael as well. I'm a shareholder in this property where it has been maintained as open space for years. It is most appropriate to recognize this by designating as open space. This is from Chris Kyle. Our neighborhood corporation owns this property for the sole purpose of having it as a natural buffer. So going to open space, and we've made that change as well. This is from Pearson Carmichael. I'm a shareholder in this property where it has been maintained as open space for years. Most appropriate to recognize this by designated as open space, which we have done. Chris Kyle, same comment as previous, identified as open space, which we have done. Two comments here, same comment, designating this lot as open space. We've moved forward with that. And Chris Kyle, same comment, and we have moved forward with it. Same comment from Pearson Carmichael on this piece here that we've moved forward as open space. That's that old railroad property, railroad right-of-way. This is from Bethany Bobo. I request the zoning to be changed to single-family residential in order to maintain the low density that this property has had for many years. I don't know if that's on the right.
I reached out to Ms. Bobo and clarified that it would be SFR1 in the future, and she was fine.
This is from Ms. Bobo as well. I'm the treasurer of Guildwood's Homes, Inc., and a longtime resident of Guildswood. I request this change to all the property that we own as open space in order to preserve the investment in natural buffers. So we've addressed this comment. Same comment from Mr. Carmichael on that old railroad right-of-way. And then same comment on the same area from Mr. Carmichael. So this one is also from Mr. Carmichael. Same comment on a property that we have identified as Riverfront District. So I will read this into record. The space has been maintained as open space for years. Most appropriate to recognize this as and designate this lot as open space district. I believe this is a lot that is owned by the condominium. Is this not?
This lot is actually owned by the property owner directly on the other side of the railroad right-of-way. So it's under private ownership. But with the topography, we felt that it was most appropriate because it does fall off of the railroad right-of-way. So it cannot connect to the property to the south with the owner itself. And so we assigned it Riverfront District to provide protections to any development that could eventually happen in the future there by going through the riverfront process. It doesn't feel great assigning open space to privately owned land.
So this one will require a vote.
So he's thinking, so you're in agreement that he thinks it should be our Riverfront District?
we believe that it should stay. So I think there was a mistake in what he said in terms of, I think the zoning should be riverfront. In his comment itself, he thinks that it should be open space district.
But we're saying it could be riverfront.
The staff recommendation would be to stay
That's what I'm
riverfront.
saying. He's thinking it should be what we're gonna do to it.
No, he wants open space.
He wants open space, but he says in his comment that it should be our riverfront district.
Clever.
So,
Is he here?
yeah,
Is Mr. Carmichael here?
I don't see Mr. Carmichael.
okay, so we'll hammer this one through. All right, so staff's recommendation is that we should have this zoning be riverfront district R. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it.
And this is a similar comment, same comment from Mr. Carmichael on that same, it's another parcel, but it's still owned by that same property owner.
So, ditto.
Yeah, it would be the same as the previous.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, and we have a comment here from Mr. Carmichael. This is that property that we are not, we haven't identified as changing in our staff recommendation, but reading in the comment, the property is currently R1 and should remain residential. This property should be SFR1, similar to the other neighborhood homes. Not be appropriate for a riverfront development to front or back up to the neighborhood street. And he's talking about Gillswood here. So this is where I was getting confused. This property is owned by that
Condominium.
River Road condominiums there. That fronts Jack Warner.
The property is zoned today as R1, but because it is under the same ownership as the condominium association, we took that into consideration, and we identified it as riverfront instead of R1 because it would provide more protections, in our opinion, it would provide more protections to the historic neighborhood, having to go through additional processes through the riverfront zoning, as opposed to an R1 piece of land.
Just out of curiosity, how large is that parcel?
I don't remember.
The topography would make that parcel very hard to develop.
The topography, exactly, Ms. Hornsby.
That's the whole property, but that, probably had a separate property line for that one little piece.
That's an old zoning boundary that you see.
Okay, so the whole property's still R1. Gotcha, okay. Make sure I was clear.
Yeah, so you can see there, it's,
Yeah, okay.
the actual
That's what I
property
was seeing.
is split a little bit. So this would require a vote, either to maintain it as riverfront or to go to R1, SFR1, which is what Mr. Carmichael is requesting it to go to SFR1.
Back to the more stringent, more protective being riverfront. That
Yes,
would, I think would protect Gillswood better, based on what staff is recommending, correct?
That's right, yes, sir.
Is everybody in agreement with that? All right, Commission, before us, we have a request to maintain staff's recommendation of R1 for this parcel. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it.
Then one more comment here this is from Chris Kyle. I'd like this to be zoned SFR1 so that it remains lower density as it has been for many years.
We believe that that dot actually was meant for the parcel that we just discussed.
So there's not a concern because he's thinking it should be R as well.
He thinks it should be single-family residential, similar to Mr. Carmichael.
Well, okay,
It was essentially the same comment as
Right.
Mr. Carmichael.
So, Commission, we need to vote on this one as well?
Yeah.
Let me ask a question. His dot's on,
His dot's on the middle of the condominium. I was able to talk to Mr. Kyle, and his comment is intended for that piece that we just discussed.
but are we voting on where the dot is, or are we voting on his intentions? Because
I understand.
I got intention to get out of here at 6:30 too.
I'm working on it.
All right, Commission, for us, we have a recommendation from staff to maintain as R recommended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it.
We're not used to Mr. Harrison sounding like a lawyer.
Must channel something.
I believe that's all the comments that we had. Is that correct?
Yeah, those, we don't know what's happening right now because they seem to have doubled up on us. When in doubt, hit refresh again. Yeah, we covered
Discussed
that.
one,
We covered
discussed
that. This is a new one.
Yeah. So this is from Nick Baker. Incredibly dangerous pedestrian crossing. Most crossings and sidewalks are far too dangerous. Please consider safe street design and new zoning standards. Again, this is not something to vote on tonight, something that we can look at in the future.
We'll reach out to Mr. Baker.
He's correct, though.
He is correct.
Yeah. We agree.
We're just going through for transparency and making sure y'all can see that we have handled these. We just don't know what's happened with our technology tonight. We'll make sure to address that.
So it's just not graying out the comments.
I think they doubled up is what happened.
You'll see for transparency, if we click on this dot, for whatever reason, on the map, it shows as open space, but over on this panel, it's having a tough time. So it appears that we have voted on all of the online comments.
All right.
Okay, so that's all the written, all the so
public
now we have
comments.
it. Is there anyone in the audience who would make any comments that did not sign up or would make a comment? If so, please come forward.
Zach, this could also be a good time. You're the last person we had signed up.
Name and address for the record, please.
Sure. My name's Zachary Johnson. I'm a fifth-year master's student at UA, getting my master's in public admin and GIS. I live at 1131 Jackson Avenue, apartment 4311, if anyone wants to navigate the mega complex. Happy to hang. I just wanted to say thank you. I'm the president of the Alabama Urbanist Coalition Tuscaloosa chapter. We're a statewide organization of about 300 people who are advocating for more walkable, mixed-use, equitable cities. Mixed use and parking minimums have been a big thing for us right now. But it's been very nice to see a city like Tuscaloosa, a good mid-sized southern city, take such strong efforts in making our cities more walkable and mixed use. We're hugely appreciative of that. So many of us, I think we have about 60 members in Tuscaloosa, are so used to seeing nothing but terrible urban design across the country. And so when we started this group last April to more closely study Tuscaloosa's urban design, I think we were a little bit ready to fight. But the more we've looked into it, we've basically hold an hour lecture every week on urban issues in Tuscaloosa. Time and time again, I mean, we find that often the planning staff in Tuscaloosa is even further ahead of us than we are, right? Last night, we were talking about I think the back 3 chapters of the framework plan. I do apologize for the comments that were submitted that were not germane to the actual zoning discussion, but as you can tell, we had a lot of very excited people who really care about the direction for Tuscaloosa moving forward. But again, just thank you guys very much. We're very appreciative of your work.
Thank you.
Very much.
Yes.
Anyone else care to make a comment? All right, having heard none, thank you. Ms. Kreitz, any final words or just next steps?
We can talk next steps really quickly since I've got 17 more minutes of Mr. Harrison's time.
Only 16 now.
Oh, 16 now. Let me step on it.
Well, I want to say we're glad you're back, but Mr. Pons, he
They're
kept us to
fantastic.
full time last time. You're about to do the same thing, by the way.
They're fantastic, and I know we're going to have some lively meetings ahead of us. So April 24th, we're looking at that eastern growth area. This includes the Mercedes Corridor, the Woodland Hills, Woodland Forest area, a lot of bits and pieces of District 6. In May, we'll look at Alberta, and then the McFarland corridor, so kind of that spine from the river down to Skyland, and then 359 over to Alberta, north of Skyland. And then the June 26th meeting, as long as we can stay on track, we'll cover the Highway 69 South Corridor and the rest of Skyland Boulevard, and hopefully wrapping up in July. Of course, framework.tuscaloosa.com is your one-stop shop for all things framework. Please take a look at it, review that text draft, review the draft map ahead of every meeting, and know that staff's going to reach out. If there's a comment, we're going to reach out because we want to know more and how we can make it better. So take a look at the meeting schedule. But Mr. Wright, I'll turn it back to you.
Any final comments? If not, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, folks.
Yes.